America first.
Can you believe it? They are saying that they don't agree with America first. How do you say that?
Magnificent.
I haven't even mentioned the phone number, and there's only one line left. The call board is almost full. The number is 833-33-GORKA, G-O-R-K-A, 833-334-6752. Shad, do we not have a dearth of Looney Tunes on this show?
Well, what do you mean the music that we play being fairly
Well, we don't
erratic
have enough. You know, we had a little bit of Pepe, a little bit of Underlay.
I promise, over the course of the next week.
What do you think?
I will fix this.
Shall we drop a little bit of, a little bit more cartoon characters?
Why not? Why not?
Tom and Jerry.
It's all accessible online. I can get it for us. We can be fun. We can be the number one cartoon radio show in America.
Good.
Which I'm sure is a pretty competitive genre.
But we're going to be broad, okay? We're going to have a little bit of Penelope Pit Stop, Catch a Pigeon, not just Looney Tunes.
Oh, of course. Right. Hanna-Barbera will be represented as well.
Excellent. Eric, you mentioned something. You reminded me of the incredible talents of
Mr. Mel Blanc, the voice of pretty much every Looney Tunes character ever.
So true. We have to remember that. I need you to find me out how many voices Mel Blanc did. I think that is an important question because it is a lot.
Have you heard the Mel Blanc story?
No, what?
The Mel Blanc story is that when he was Bugs Bunny...
We're going off script here.
A little bit. I feel like I got to tell you the story, though. Mel Blanc famously hated carrots. Hated them.
What?
And so
what did he do when he was doing the carrot noise?
For a long time, he tried with radishes, which in my mind, I feel like would be way more intense.
Yeah.
But he just couldn't get the sound right. So they had a spit bucket. And the whole reason it was there, so that when he bit, said, "Hey, what's up, Doc?" And he had somewhere to spit the carrots. So just over the course of a day, he went through like 20 carrots.
Do we have confirmation of this?
I've seen multiple interviews.
Is this Blue Anon? Is this true?
You can trust me, Dr. G. I'm your engineer.
But do we have verification? Do we have trust, but verify?
I will double verify for you.
That's a good story. I like that. That's a good story. Okay, let's get to somebody who's in bigger trouble than Pepe Le Pew is, although he's a real Pepe Le Pew. There are now a fourth and a fifth accuser against Governor Cuomo. Latest allegations. This is from The Blaze. Chris Enlow. Anna Liss, who worked as a policy aide to Governor Cuomo 2013 to 2015, alleged that Cuomo harassed her so badly that, quote, she felt reduced to just a skirt. Well, he's a Democrat. The fifth accuser. How many more do we need? The fifth accuser, Karen Hinton, worked for Cuomo when he was Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. That's a thing we kind of deep sixed, didn't we, as a nation, that the guy worked in the Clinton administration. When she worked for him as a secretary, she said the following. She endured, quote, a very long, too tight, too intimate embrace from Secretary Cuomo in a dimly lit Los Angeles hotel room. Oh, seedy. The married Hinton pulled away, but he pulls me back for another intimate embrace. I thought at the moment it could lead to a kiss. It could lead to other things. So I just pulled away and I left. Yeah, how's that for a real Pepe Le Pew? And here we have somebody that Pepe would have been after. He would have been on you like a bad rash. Welcome, Sara Carter, in studio. We have so much to discuss. Get your headphones on. Amazing reporting you've been doing. But first, I have to react. I have to ask you to react.
Okay.
They're trying to get rid of Pepe Le Pew and the fastest Mexican mouse in the South.
Speedy Gonzalez?
Yes, he's racist. Did you know that?
No,
The New York Times says he's racist.
The New York Times has no idea that Speedy was like in my community. I came from a Hispanic community, Latin. We had Cubans, Mexicans, El Salvadorians, Guatemalans, whoever. Everybody was in our community. In fact, you would say that you would have to speak Spanish if you went to the local grocery store in our community in California, because that's how it was.
Not like Biden's, you have to be an Indian to run a 7-Eleven.
Right.
Okay?
Not like Biden.
Not Biden.
Not like Biden.
This is real.
No. This was real. These are, enclaves in California where people, just kept coming in and everybody just spoke Spanish, and it was Spanish and English, and that's
who was
how
Speedy
it was.
for you guys?
Speedy was just a fun cartoon. He's just a little mouse with a great hat. And by the way, and with his sombrero. By By the way,
I like
there's
the way
nothing.
she says that. Say that again.
Sombrero.
Sombrero.
Speedy, come on.
But here's the best bit. You know why he's racist?
Why?
This is from the New York
Why?
Times.
Because I just don't even understand this anymore.
He reinforces the cultural, how do they say, the image of drunk and lazy Mexicans.
What?
Hang on.
He's Speedy.
He's the fastest thing on the planet.
He's like
and
the
he's
fastest.
lazy.
He's funny. He's a little mouse. He's funny.
He's cheeky.
He's really cheeky. He's really. And by the way, I love Pepe Le Pew. And I think he's very.
That's how you learn your first French.
Right. That's it.
Mon
That's
chéri, mon petit chou-fleur. Right?
Oh, you said that very well. That was great.
Thank you.
I loved Pepe when I was young, and I mean, I can't believe what's happening to our world, like, and especially America, our country. It's like, when did we come to a point that these non-issues are really issues?
Right.
This is
the quote-unquote detention centers are full. That's not the issue on the border.
Right.
It's Pepe Le Pew and Speedy Gonzalez. That's the issue.
Right. And believe me, the children that are coming, these unaccompanied minors that are flooding into our country right now, because Joe Biden, the perception is that he's leaving the doors open for everyone for 100 days.
Come on down.
And that they have 100 days to get in. And these poor children that are traveling alone, some of them from Honduras, remarkably that they even made it to the U.S. border. Some of them abused. Some of them lost people on the trail, on the journey.
We have that
some
video.
as young as 7 years old. I mean, this is unbelievable that the New York Times would waste our time and the world's time trying to take away two really wonderful cartoon characters that existed in a time period that was much different than ours.
Do you know what the problem with Pepe is?
He's really cute and he's very sexy.
No, this is not a joke. The article, he reinforces rape culture. It's not a joke.
Okay,
he reinforces rape culture.
There was never one instant in my life or any of my friends' lives, I can tell you this, that we watched Pepe Le Pew and actually believed that reinforced any kind of rape.
Right.
Like, that would have never crossed
I watched
my mind.
Pepe Le Pew, and I thought it was a cartoon.
Right, me too. I thought
And
it was
fun.
a skunk.
A skunk who thought he was a...
thought he was a ladies' man.
Right.
And he
the
liked
cats,
the flower.
And the cats always got the white paint on their back.
Right.
By accident. So Pepe thought that they were a skunk as well.
Yeah,
and he
that's
wanted
right.
to have them as his girlfriend.
Yeah, that's it.
And it was just...
I never thought of anything. They want to...
Did we miss something?
They want to cancel, wasn't it Dean Martin and his songs? They want to cancel books. They want to
It's cold
cancel
outside.
philosophers. They want to cancel... Soon they will cancel the Bible. Then they will cancel the Quran. Then they will
they'll
cancel...
never cancel the Quran.
Oh, eventually.
No,
Eventually it'll happen. Eventually it'll happen because...
Rashida Tlaib and Ilkhanam will make sure that doesn't happen.
Well,
you know that.
I agree with
Dr.
you.
Seuss is dangerous, but the
Listen,
Quran isn't.
listen.
Did you get that, Media Matters? Get typing. Get little... What's his name? Zaki Boy? If your mom has lent you her phone, get busy typing this up, because we're going to be here for a while. Sara Carter is in studio. She made it. I'm Sebastian Gorka. This is America First on the Salem Radio Network, coming to you from the Refactor.com studios. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, do not dare touch that dial, or I will deploy Pepe and Speedy.
I asked them, do you know who the president of the United States is? They said, yes, of course, it's President Biden. And they misinterpreted his stop on deportations for 100 days as being an invitation to arrive to the United States. They said that the human traffickers, the cartels, the people that were moving them into the United States basically said it was about 100 days to get here to freedom, so that once they got here, they would have amnesty. These kids were willingly turning themselves into Border Patrol.
That is from Sara Carter, our in-studio guest. Follow her right now, Sara Carter DC on Twitter and at saraacarter.com. Doing incredible work, actually going to the border to find out what's going on. I don't know where to start. So the latest report is from the Daily Caller. The migrant facilities against original CDC guidelines are now full. They can be full to 100% capacity because of the massive influx. Right now, we have a report from Breitbart, Bob Price. Health and Human Services are estimating more than 7,000 unaccompanied minors are in shelters on the U.S. side of the border. Why is this happening, Sara Carter?
Because once again, the policy perpetuated by the administration is sending a message, not just to Central America, but across the world, that the United States is open and that they will not be returned home. And I got to tell you, the loopholes inside these policies have existed for a long time. So the drug cartels and the human traffickers have figured out, except for under President Trump. I got to say that under President Trump, there was something different. He finally put the kibosh on this, saying, like, what's going on with this catch and release? What's happening? We're going to keep them on the other side of the border and process people appropriately into the United States. We're going to make sure there's checks and balances. But remember, a lot of the people that are trying to traverse illegally, these caravans, as well as people moving illegally into the United States through the southern border, they just get rid of all their identification. And I'm not just talking about the children. The children is a different story. Remember, children, unaccompanied minors, and family units want to arrive here for one purpose and one purpose only. And they utilize this family unit, so-called pseudo-talk, is because they know they won't be deported.
This is crucial. So people have to understand, family unit is an official phrase, but there's no proof and no guarantee that the adult or the adults with that children are related.
Right. And there's no way of really knowing that unless you do blood samples. You take the appropriate tests and the DNA tests, and that's not happening. It was happening at one point, then they stopped it, and it's.
But they found a shocking low figure. There was less than 30% of the children were related to the quote unquote relatives who were bringing them across.
That's right, because they're not relatives. A lot of times, these children are being sold. And they're being used as a prop. I've talked to Border Patrol agents that seen the same child come in 3 or 4 times or 7 times. I saw children as young as 3 and 4 years old. You don't know if they're with their parent or if they're a prop being used.
Being rented out by their mother.
And imagine how dangerous this is. Imagine the danger of traveling from Honduras alone as a child. I met a girl who's 13 years old.
You say it takes months. It takes these children months.
Yeah, sometimes it takes them months. And they'll move them through buses, then they'll move by foot, then they'll hop in a car with someone. They'll meet whoever their trafficker is at different points. There's different stopping points. And then remember, these human traffickers also pay the drug cartels. It's called O Plata o Plomo, and I've written about this. It's silver or lead. You literally have to pay the drug cartels to traverse from Mexico into the U.S. So anybody who tells you this is, we care about these people, we're leaving the border open because we love them and care about them, and there's no border, there's no citizenship.
No, there's no illegal. No illegal person.
There's no illegal person is lying to you, because anyone who crosses that border has to pay the drug cartels. You might not think there's a problem, but they all know there's a problem, because a lot of these young people have been abused. Some of these girls have been raped. Some of these people have been beaten. Some of them have been killed. And these drug cartels are using them so that they can move contraband in another area of the border while they flood our Border Patrol agents with these young people and these family units. It is a mess down there.
Any idea, because we've seen the photographs, Sarah, who's buying or who's giving them the T-shirts, the Biden T-shirts?
I thought that was so fascinating. I saw something very similar in Honduras when I was down there during the Trump administration, where we would see the same baseball hats or the same backpacks, or that they would have taken a bus ride. Like, who's paying for these buses? Who's paying for these shirts? Right. They kind of see Biden right now, which was really interesting to me, to find very young kids, even a 7-year-old. When I asked them straight up, who's the president of the United States? I didn't say a thing. And they were all President Biden. So
any indication?
Where
it's coming from?
No, there is no indication. A lot of times you have NGOs, different non-governmental organizations
They're wearing
that somebody maybe donated a bunch of Biden shirts to them.
This is what you call, dispositive indication that there's organization. These are all the same T-shirts.
Right.
We're talking to Sara Carter. Follow her, Sara Carter DC. SaraACarter.com is her website. More on what's really happening with Biden as the magnet for a massive, massive influx of illegal immigrants. This is America First from ReliefFactor.com studios. Relief Factor.
There were children as young as 4 years old in this group. Many of them were traveling by themselves without any adults. Some of them met up with adults on the journey to the United States. All of the children that I ran into were from Honduras. They had been traveling for approximately 3 months. Many of them had spent time on top of the trains. They talked about La Bestia. It's a train that runs through Mexico that the kids jump on top of and try to make their way to the U.S.-Mexico border. They told me horror stories about children that had fallen off the train, children that disappeared while they were on the road with them.
Sara Carter actually telling the truth, doing journalism, unlike the vast majority of the rest of the fake news. Let's help, even if this administration is truly evil, because what they're messaging incentivizes not only the children and their families, but the cartels, and makes them millions upon millions of dollars. Let's help these children in situ so they don't make that dangerous journey. Please, today, let's help them. No child should suffer anywhere. Food for the Poor is getting food to those in need in Honduras. Exactly what you just heard. They have the food, they just need to get it there, and you can help. Think of this number. If you donate $111 one time, you're going to feed a starving Honduran girl or boy for 6 months. That is the Lord's work. Food for the Poor is on the ground. Make a difference today. Save a life. $222 will feed 6 children for 6 months. You are a modern missionary if you do this. Let's make a difference. Let's stop the suffering where it is happening. Go to our website, sebgorka.com. That's SEBGORKA, sebgorka.com, and click on the Food for the Poor banner. Make a donation in any amount. It doesn't matter. It makes a difference, and it will save lives. Call them if you can at 855-330-HOPE. That's 855-330-4673. Or just go to our website, sebgorka.com, and click on the Food for the Poor banner. I don't know how else to do this. This is the stumbling block I always arrive at, Sarah. Mm-hmm. This isn't difficult to analyze. Who profits from the opening of our borders and the suffering that entails and ensues? How is it that nobody inside government with power says that this is wrong? Just says, Mr. President, this is hurting children. Stop it. Is anybody saying, does anybody talk to you off the record? I mean, well, I've read this. There's a gag order. There's a gag order on DHS officials. If you're senior law enforcement, you're not allowed to talk to the press. Why is that?
That actually happened while I was up there. I wondered I wondered if I was a little cause of that problem. Yeah, and I thought it was a great story that Breitbart reported it, because that's exactly what I was told while I was up there, that there's been now a gag order that they didn't want anybody, Border Patrol agents or anyone else, talking to reporters out on the border. And the reason why, there's a lot of theories out there as to why, but you would think that it would just be common sense, Sebastian.
But is there nobody who says this is wrong?
But it's
inside
wrong.
the administration.
It's wrong all the way around. Look, hundreds of millions of dollars are these organizations, these cartels, right?
The smugglers.
You could say even in the billions between the smugglers and the drug cartels. Right. Our children in the United States are being poisoned by fentanyl, by methamphetamine, by heroin, by imagine it. That's what they're bringing. We have contraband coming across the border. We don't even know. We don't even know what it is. We don't even know. We know that we get the Mexican blues, which is the fentanyl. We know that kids have died taking just one pill. And then you have groups and thousands of children traveling alone and traversing this terrain and confronting people like, horror stories like pedophiles and aggravated felons and criminals on the road. These are young children. Would you let your 7-year-old, travel from Honduras to the United States by themselves, let alone it?
But isn't this crushing? I mean, you're a mother. When you talk to these children, isn't this heartbreaking?
It breaks my heart, because I think of how bad this is for everyone, for these beautiful young children who have suffered enough already. Many of them, their parents have deserted them, or they were left a long time ago with a relative. Some of these kids, it's true, end up in gangs. They join MS-13. They're in El Salvador, Honduras. They have no family. The streets become their family. They lose sight of, they have no education. They have no moral boundaries, some of them. Some of them do. Some of them are just searching for mom and dad, searching for a relative. Others are they haven't seen their parents in 4 years or 5 years, and all of a sudden...
When you speak to them, what is the most common scenario? Is it just a child who's been packed off with a coyote and the mothers or the fathers have paid?
Right.
What's the most common?
That's the most common scenario. There's other times where the children don't want to tell me the truth at all because they're terrified. Because they have been abused, because they're being used by the human traffickers to basically get people into the United States. I want you to think about this. Imagine just showing up into a foreign country. Now all of a sudden you're being processed by Border Patrol. They're doing everything they can. God bless the U.S. Border Patrol agents that are processing these children.
Right, but they're being neutered in terms of
they're saying
when they arrive in America.
Right, and so they arrive in America. They don't know where they're going to go.
20% test positive for COVID.
That's right. And we've got COVID. We saw COVID in Brownsville. I was in Brownsville where we saw 108 cases of COVID. And those are the ones that have been tested, Sebastian. You have to think about all the people that have been put on buses, either by Catholic Charities or put on planes. They're flying around the country. They're going on the buses. They're going to meet what they say is relatives. We're not even sure. And these aren't just the children. These are also the family units. I was on a plane. Half of my plane out of McAllen was filled with people that were holding their paperwork to report to court. They were on the plane and they were heading across America. Some were going to Chicago. Some were going to Fairfax, Virginia. Some people were going to Atlanta, Georgia. So, it was interesting. Somebody said to me once, they said, well, the kids, some of the kids were saying that they were fleeing violence, or parents saying they were fleeing violence in Honduras. And then they asked them, like, well, where are you going? And they said, Chicago. And then they said, well, Chicago is violent too. It's this idea that these asylum claims are going to get processed the right way. That's also a lie.
And not only
Most
that,
of the people just disappear.
The question, right, exactly. You've got a court date 2, 3, 4 years from now. And I think the figures Mark Morgan shared with us is 90% of them never turn up for their court dates. We're talking to Sara Carter. Follow her right now. Sara Carter DC we're going to steal her for 5 more minutes. We're not going to let her out of here because you love her, guys. Sara Carter DC on Twitter. SaraACarter.com is her website, as well as the Sara Carter podcast, right?
Correct.
Go to check out very cool podcast, the Sara Carter podcast. I'm Sebastian Gorka. This is America First, broadcasting live from just outside the stinking swamp that is Washington, D.C. from the ReliefFactor.com studios. Relief Factor.
Portions of America First are brought to you by Food for the Poor.
Also, we recognize our great supporter, Mike Lindell. They're trying to cancel him. 25 corporations are now boycotting his product. Support this great American right now. Go straight to his website. He's got more than 100 U.S.-made products, all of them superb. Use my name, and he's going to give you more than 60% off. Call 800-829-8468. That's 800-829-8468. MyPillow.com. Send a message to the cancel culture left today. MyPillow.com, promo code GORKA. We are back with Sara Carter. Let me just give you this quote from Breitbart talking to an unnamed official at the Department of Homeland Security. We have been advised not to speak on immigration issues at the border and to rely on DHS's Office of Public Affairs and the White House Press Office to handle messaging. What are they afraid of?
They're afraid of the truth. They know it's a crisis. Jen, Psaki, the press secretary, tried to call it a challenge. I was like, a challenge? This is a crisis. Why don't you take a tour down here? Why doesn't Jen Psaki and President Biden go down to the border and just take a look at what this policy, reversing all of Trump's policies, has created?
And it's fascinating that at a weekend, Alejandro Mayorkas, DHS secretary, and Susan Rice went to the border, but they explicitly said the media cannot come. What are you hiding when you are visiting those detention centers that are just now influx facilities? Why is this? Last minute and a half with the great Sara Carter. Why is this something that is more than just something people who live in Texas should care about? Why is this something that should concern all Americans?
Oh, it absolutely, because the border is no longer at the border. The border is inside your community. The drugs, the people that are coming in, the people that are living in the shadows, how can that be good for a society? How can that even be good for the people that are coming in here? And let alone for Americans, right? We're trying to figure things out. We've been in lockdown for a year.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
We have jobs. People have lost their jobs. Their businesses have been shuttered. And now we're expected to what? How much is this going to cost? And not only that, cost in lives.
Yes.
In lives. And that's something that I think we all need to be concerned about. And that's something that we need to contact our lawmakers and say, look, enough is enough. Tell us the truth. Why? We're paying for those facilities for those children. We should be able to see what's inside them. We should know what's going on in them. We should see how these children are treated. We should see how they're separating them. We should know what's going on.
Just think of this. DHS senior officials have a gag order. When the director of the Domestic Policy Council, Rice, and Secretary Mayorkas go to the border, the press is cut out of the visit. And then lastly, perhaps the most important of all, this is the 8th week of the Biden administration, and the president has yet to give a press conference. Yeah, you know they have something to hide. Follow this lady, listen to her podcast, Sara Carter, DC on Twitter, SaraACarter.com, and the Sara Carter Show. Download it, subscribe today. Full call board. Don't go anywhere, guys. Don't go anywhere. Tom, Matt, Gil, Doc, Jeff will take your calls at the top of the hour here on America First.